I think that publishing houses need to encourage authors or organize for authors to have a good book launch, which is then covered by the media. Now, all this takes a lot of organizing. There has to be someone who knows what they're doing. I would love to see literary agents who do take on a lot of that work. I don't think we have any. I've never come across any in Sri Lanka, not for the English language market that we have here anyway. Then what else? I think that going into schools, author visits, school visits, is probably a really good way of getting the word out. Now, when you say schools, people automatically think of little preschool or grade 1 or 2 kids seated on a mat listening to an author speaking. But yes, that is good if you are the author of a children's book or a picture book. But right up to the age of 18, you have such a vast variety of children in a school that you can approach. And also, there's the added benefit that the name of the author goes out there, people are more familiar with it. If a school allows an author to actually sell the books on the day of the author visit, that's a big bonus. And I mean, come on, how many schools do we have? And if each school buys like 25, 50 books, printing a print run of 500 is not going to be enough. And there you get your cost management, right? Of course, our education system is such that a lot of schools don't really encourage people from outside to come and speak to the kids. As a children's author, I have visited a few international schools and a few preschools because I have a couple of picture books that I have published. And it's amazing. These kids just lap up the knowledge. They want to know about the writing process, about the printing process. I had a kid who was 5 years old who asked me if I illustrated my own book. And to know the difference between an author and illustrator at that age is fantastic. Then I had another, I think he would have been about 7 or 8 years old. He wanted to know, once the pages are printed, how they're bound. So I had to tell him what little bit I did know about staple binding and spiral binding and perfect binding. I mean, if kids from that age upwards are introduced to the idea of authors and writing, as well as, of course, reading the books, then you're going to build up your market. That's the small kids. Now, unless you're writing something that is extremely adult and has a lot of violence or sex in it, there's no reason why it can't be discussed at an older level. Students who are sitting for their O-levels or A-levels, the literary texts that they have to do for their exams are quite advanced. So there's no reason why someone writing for an older age group can't speak to an assembly of A-level students. So this is one marketing tactic that is really not used in Sri Lanka. I have tried going into schools to get invited into schools to speak to the kids. A lot of places just can't handle the logistics, or they are not interested. I've had people telling me that they're just not interested, which is very sad. And it is all a cycle. So it's part of that cycle to get the younger generation interested in the books that we're trying to write. Then what about libraries, bookshops? So many other venues that we can use where authors can come and read aloud from their work, which is work in progress, or it could be a published book. Even coffee shops. I think this has happened a few times, organized by a few brave individuals, where you get a session where people come and read aloud. And the more you go out there and do things like that, I mean, even libraries. I know that, for example, the British Council does have author readings and author-related events on and off, but I would love to see it more often. so that they give a platform for more authors on a regular basis to come and speak to the children, to speak to the children who are in the English learning section, to speak to those who have membership in the library. It doesn't have to be authors who are brought in from abroad. We have such a lot of talent here. They just need that foothold, that opportunity to go out there and talk about their work. And the more they talk about their work and share their opinion and their journey, the more people will be encouraged to also buy the books, read the books, and be writers themselves. And before I go, a few thoughts on awards. Now, awards are a bit of a difficult area because it depends on who the judges are. There are a lot of international book awards hosted by a variety of people, and you have no idea who the judges are or what criteria they're judging on. And if you check websites, you have to pay like $100 to enter. So some of those are definitely just money-making schemes that kind of print out a certificate at the end. So not those awards. I would like to see more awards for those who are writing in English in Sri Lanka. Of course, we have the Gratian Award, which has been doing a lot over the past few years, and finding a lot of new authors, giving people a platform and a voice, which is really great. But something that I realized is that my book is more for young adults. And this year, there is also a children's book included. So you've got one award and such a vast, diverse collection of books that have been longlisted. It would really be nice if there is a different segment category for children's books, a different category for young adult, and then a different category for adult books, because it's very difficult to kind of compare between those different styles of writing. And of course, there is the State Literary Awards, which has a children's category in English, which is really great. And I found out that last year when I was nominated and I didn't even know. So their organizing of it was a little, I didn't even get invited, but then I got to know later on, and I had to kind of contact them and say, hey, do I get a certificate? And they were kind enough to post it to me. So it needs to be a lot better organized. There are a couple of other awards which is only for writing in Sinhalese, and I would really like to see someone else, could even be a bookshop, publisher, setting up some other awards, because those bring literature to the eyes of the public, and also it encourages people to write. It encourages people to write better, and it gets a discussion going. So as a children's author, I would really like to see another award which is targeted for that type of writing, because we have a lot of books published here for children, which some are good, of very high quality, some are not. So maybe the ones who can't be bothered with typesetting properly, if there is a proper award system, they might try a little harder. So thank you so much for listening to me just going on and on about my opinion on writing in Sri Lanka. And I hope that I've given you something to think about. And I hope that a few people who listen to this may actually be able to help us out with solving some of the issues that I mentioned. I hope it gets into those hands. If you know someone who could actually do something for positive change, please do forward this to them so that they can hear what I say. Thank you so much.